Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa. I am a writing tutor at the San Jose State Writing Center, and I'm also the associate editor of the San Jose State Writing Center blog called The Right Attitude. And today I'm here with a special guest.
Hi, my name is Fortune Onyora. I am currently a content designer at Pinterest, and I've been working there for about a year. It's actually my 1 year anniversary this month.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I've been in the content writing field for about 7 years, so I'm just coming up just shy of a decade.
Yeah, a decade. That's impressive.
Yeah,
So thank you so much for being here. I will get right into it, and I just want to start off by asking you, Fortune, what are some common types of documents or written materials that you create in your role? In
yeah.
general, yeah, sorry. I'm just curious to know what are how writing kind of factors into your daily tasks.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes when I say content designer, people think like visual design. And I'm like, no,
Yes.
I write words. I don't draw anything. Um, but my day-to-day work involves writing. It's basically like the UX writing of Pinterest. In the particular part that I work in, I am writing things like tooltips, which are just like informational blurbs when we have maybe a new feature or something that's being updated that lets you know, hey, this is new, or maybe something has moved around. And it's just kind of our like user education phase. It's usually a blue bubble that you'll see on a couple of different apps that people sometimes dismiss, but I encourage everyone to read it.
Mhm.
People work on that for sure. So writing things like that, and even things that maybe you read, but you might not even think about, like, oh, someone wrote this. So if you're on an app and you have maybe the bottom um, like portion of your app, maybe it says home, or maybe it says post or create or something like that. Those
Yeah.
kind of buttons and stuff, those are things that I write as well, that you might come across. And then, kind of sometimes off the app, I also do a lot of writing of notifications for Pinterest. So if you have notifications turned on, whether they're on your phone or email notifications,
Oh, okay.
I'm part of the team that writes that as well to let you know if something has been updated or there's a new feature or we want you to check the app for something. Mhm.
That's absolutely fascinating. And
Yeah.
like when you give examples of the kinds of things that you write, it's amazing how many of those things that people just don't like ever think about unless they're having like an issue with a
Mhm.
specific thing, like in their Pinterest app or just in general, the field that you're in. Yeah, it's something that I think people they just don't think about. They kind of take for granted that no, this is work that like human beings actually do.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And it
true.
requires a lot of design.
It does. I feel like some companies, you can kind of tell whether they have a dedicated content person to it because, everybody can write, but not everybody can write super well.
Mm,
So
yeah.
those kind of things take not only just writing things down, but the content strategy behind that and what are the rules or guidelines we have in place to make sure things look cohesive and just understandable by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fascinating, Fortune. So, now I'd like to ask you about feedback and your sort of perspective. As a writer, could you share an instance in which constructive criticism significantly improved something that you were writing?
Yeah, for sure. I like to write things that maybe sound a bit punny. And I can give a specific example, but in general, content that I write needs to be understood on a global context by people who maybe English is not their first language, and things also need to be translated. So we have teams that do translations specifically and make sure that what I write is localized for the area that it
Mm,
appears in. So
hmm.
sometimes those kind of things don't translate well. So an example I have actually recently was we are working on like some holiday stuff that's coming up for Pinterest as we get into the holiday and winter months. So we're trying to make the share button that just says share sound a little more exciting for the holidays. We're looking at um, content. Maybe it says like gift this guide or something if we're looking at
Oh,
gift guides, which we've had in the past couple of years for sure, for example. So you can share a Pinterest board as a gift guide, maybe to somebody else. But sometimes maybe we need to be a little bit more literal about what the
hmm.
button does. It's more important that people understand exactly what they're doing when they're engaging with
Right.
content on the platform versus just having something that sounds cool. So that's some
Yeah.
feedback I've gotten recently, and we were able to find kind of a happy medium between things where we ended up not just with share or not gift this guide as the button, but something that combined both of them.
Okay, got it. That's
Mhm,
it's a great example of like needing as a writer needing to find a balance between wanting to be your best, most creative self while
mhm,
also writing something that is like easily understandable by the majority of people and
mhm.
making things sound as like intuitive as possible while sometimes at the cost of like, you know, not being very punny to use your example. Yeah, that's a great
Exactly.
example.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. For
Um,
some people's writing, it can be maybe more creative. I'm more on like the utilitarian side of writing, so that's kind
yeah.
of a big delineation sometimes between different types of writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So like kind of on that note, I'd
Hmm.
like to ask you about some of the challenges that you have encountered in your field of writing. So what do you do when you have to write something but you don't know how to write that thing
Hmm.
or that type of thing? In particular, I'm wondering if you use any tools or resources or anything like some kind of AI chatbot or anything like that to help you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the hardest part of writing anything is getting started. That's
Mhm.
like what many people struggle with the most.
Here, here.
For sure, for sure. So I use ChatGPT all the time. I even use it like in my personal life, but at work at Pinterest, they've definitely encouraged people to use ChatGPT.
Okay.
So we have something at work specifically that we can bring ChatGPT on, and it's all good in terms of like using it for actual work.
Okay.
So I use that as like a brainstorming tool
Okay.
for the most part. I find that sometimes ChatGPT isn't as maybe imaginative or creative as I would like it to be initially.
Hmm.
So usually when I start, maybe I'll have like a document that is what we call like a go-to-market document in
Oh yeah.
these fields where you just have like all the things necessary to start or launch a product.
Hmm.
So there are just like requirements, who the product is going to be targeted towards, and things like that.
Hmm.
Or maybe there is a similar product document out there, and I
Mm.
will literally copy and paste the document, maybe the whole document, paste it in ChatGPT and tell it what I need. Hey, I need 10 different notifications for this new thing that's launching. Here's the document with all the background info.
Hmm.
And then ChatGPT will give me some things, and I'd like to have like a back and forth conversation with ChatGPT.
Hmm.
So we're on a like first name basis now. I just call it
Hey.
chat. It's called chat. So, but I'll ask it to like generate like 25 different versions for me. Then I'll tell
Mm.
it which ones I like, hey, I like number two, five, and six or something. And
Hmm.
from there we can like iterate, go back and forth. Hey, I don't want to use this word. I feel like it's too complicated of a word. Hey, I want
Yeah.
to use this phrase in particular because we use it elsewhere. So it's really just like a brainstorming tool. Sometimes I'm not able to work with other content designers like face to face where we can actually talk through things, even if it's virtual. So that does
Hmm.
help me get like another writing brain in the room and have it whenever I need to.
Yeah. So it's so interesting that you describe using a tool like ChatGPT for like a creative purpose because I think sometimes there is the impression that using ChatGPT to help you start something, especially, is like lazy. But like you use it as actually like to like mine inspiration from it so that you can use it as like a jumping off point in order to build the thing that you need to build or write the thing that you need to write. But I also wanted to comment that I have a really hard time um, feeling like Chat GPT could come up with anything as creative as you as you are. Just like, I mean, look at this amazing background that you have going on behind you. Like this is your brain, this is your design, this is your creativity on full display. So it's really, really cool that like even somebody as naturally creative and gifted as you can use tools like ChatGPT to just kind of aid in your creativity. And then it's very similar to how students at San Jose State are kind of taught to use ChatGPT to generate ideas. And then, obviously not use those ideas because that would be plagiarism, but to use those ideas to get their own creative juices kind of flowing. So very cool to
Hmm.
hear a professional's perspective about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so now I'd like to ask you, Fortune, how do you approach writing something complex or collaborative? Do you ever need to adapt your writing for non-experts in your field?
Yeah, all of my writing is like a user facing, so an average everyday user who uses Pinterest. There are other people at Pinterest who write maybe for more business oriented people who have business accounts, but I am on the other side of that.
Hmm.
So I collab a lot with people in the comms, the communications and marketing department.
Hmm.
They're kind of some counterparts, writing counterparts that I work a lot with. And part of the complexity here is really conveying what the new feature or product I'm working on is and how we talk about that in product, but also making it sound a little more catchy for the
Mm.
marketing angle of this. So it's something where you might get an email or even a notification or see a pop up on your app when you open Pinterest.
Hmm.
They like shouting out that this is new, this is something you should check out, making that sound engaging without being too pushy, without
Mm.
being too technical in our language, and something that encourages people to click and try something. So sometimes that can be a little complex because there's a lot of different stakeholders that we have to appease. If you think about like we have a
Yeah.
legal team that's like, you can't use certain words or
Mm.
you must say this, like you have to disclose something if things can be a little sensitive. There are the directors on the marketing team. They're like, this is our marketing objective, but I'm on the other side on the product team, like, this is what we need to convey
Mm.
product wise, and we need to tell people how this feature works in whatever detail that it might be. So there are a lot of different points of view and angles here, and part of the complexity is just balancing all of those.
Yeah, I would imagine it's challenging to listen to what's the phrase? It's like a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely something that is complex and collaborative. So
Yeah.
fascinating.
If
Um,
sometimes we can't even decide what the recipe is to be cooking
mm.
something. So I'm just like, wait a minute, we need to step back and figure that out first.
Yes. Yeah, you're describing like, something in the writing process and the general writing process, which is like you
Mhm,
have to figure out where you're going before you can actually go there.
mhm.
So yeah, I can relate to that just as a writing tutor and as a student myself. Um, it is easier to take the time to like map out a major assignment or a major project or something before you like jump right into it and then start having to make all these decisions about what stays in the final product.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
Okay, so I have got one last question for you. And it is on the topic of advice. I'm wondering, Fortune, can you share any advice that kind of changed how you write for students at San Jose State?
Yeah, one thing I definitely feel like it was always hard to share my writing unless I felt like it was perfect or like
Mm,
top notch or something that I wanted to be out there.
yeah.
When I was in university, I studied journalism, so I did a lot of reporting type of writing, but I also did a lot of on-camera work, and I'm like
Mm.
editing things until I felt that it was perfect. Like I didn't want to show anybody before that, but people are willing to give feedback, if you ask for that. Like people are willing to help out, even if it's not another writer. I feel like sometimes we write with a specific mindset, but other people may not perceive it that way. And at the
Mm.
end of the day, a lot of us write for non-writers. So it's also important to get
Huh.
those input and that opinion too. It can change. Maybe it's even the smallest thing that you didn't think of. That could totally change how you write a particular piece or maybe even your writing strategy overall. So I would say do that. ChatGPT can be one of
Mm.
those people.
Hmm.
But ChatGPT and a lot of these AI models have a tendency to agree with the person who's using it. So
Yes.
always take it that with a grain of salt. ChatGPT is not always right. You can
Right.
say Abraham Lincoln said this, and ChatGPT is like, yeah, now that you say that, yeah, he did say the internet's pretty cool. So use that with a grain of salt, but don't be afraid to seek feedback from all different avenues.
That's great advice. Thank you so much, Fortune, for sharing your experiences as a professional content designer in for Pinterest, and then also just for giving us the time today to pick your brain about your professional field and your give us your professional advice on writing. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for so much for having me. And I love that you said professional like three times in the sentence. I don't feel like a professional. I feel like we're all just out here winging it. So please look for people who have been in the field for a long time, and they will tell you they're just figuring out as they go. So it's okay to do that too. But thank you.
That's great advice. Thanks so much.